Hello and welcome to another episode of 10 Minute Strategy. My name is Peter Propp, and I'm here today with my friend Stefano Pacifico, who is the CEO and founder of Epistemic.ai. So, Stefano, please tell us about your company. How did you make the decision to leave the area of financial services technology and move into focus on healthcare and life sciences AI?
Hi, Peter. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the invite. Epistemic.ai was born out of precisely my experience in the financial industry. I spent almost a decade using the latest and greatest in machine learning and natural language processing to help investors and decision makers make more informed decisions by connecting all the dots, all the different pieces of information available to them. Typically, they would see one slice at a time. But thanks to the work that I've been doing, they were able to instead use this information as we would in our head by putting it together. Fast forward many years later, I encountered my co-founder, David Heger, who's a renowned professor of neuroscience at NYU. And together we figured that applying these ideas in the world of biomedicine was extremely important. And so Epistemic.ai was born as a novel next generation search engine for biomedical knowledge. In the meantime, my younger son was unfortunately diagnosed with an extremely rare cancer.
Oh.
So as part of that, working on Epistemic.ai has become a lifelong mission to bring the best tooling possible to all the scientists. Imagine, what the world would have been like if when COVID-19 arrived, people could much more quickly, hours instead of weeks, connect the information that already exists in hundreds of different sources, as opposed to having to go to one at a time on whatever website is available to them.
I understand. So how is artificial intelligence helping leaders develop new solutions in healthcare and life sciences? What are some of the sources you're finding?
Well, you will see very many applications of artificial intelligence in the life sciences and healthcare. Healthcare is even, a larger world that goes from the patient to the providers to the payers and all that. In the life science specifically, which is the area that I know better, artificial intelligence is typically applied in two ways. One, to make predictions of things that don't exist, to generate new data. For example, understanding better, what a piece of DNA might be used for, or to predict how certain particles or certain molecules might interact inside our bodies. Then there are other parts of artificial intelligence, like we do at Epistemic.ai, that are used for better understanding and more quickly identifying all the relevant pieces of knowledge that exist, for which there are very many. Imagine that there are about 7,000 new publications per day that are made available to the scientific community. So that's a staggering number for any human being, without counting the other thousands of databases that may contain information about genes, drugs, diseases, mutations, and so forth and so on. So thanks to this kind of technologies, professionals in the life sciences now can much more quickly, again, validate and contextualize information. This is important because AI and machine learning, together with compute, have made possible to generate a lot more data and information. And there are even new, frontiers that are being explored through new lenses for microscopes, new probes, new diagnostic machineries. And so with this explosion of information, we need to be able to both analyze it, but also understand it. And so those are a couple of the scenarios. Very interestingly, also, I would say there is an entire new set of technologies that are essentially hallucinating entire new medicines or proteins, much like ChatGPT would hallucinate an answer for you.
So that's hallucinate. I think that's the first time I've heard that phrase used with ChatGPT, but it does lead into our next question. It is such a hot area. You and I are talking. It's February of 2023, so I just wanted to timestamp it. It's happening very quickly, and Microsoft has just added ChatGPT functionality into Bing on the Edge browser. So we're both excited to see what that happens. But can you help us just understand ChatGPT within the context of cutting edge and the more importantly, the important AI? Do you feel like ChatGPT is important? I know when we first talked about it, you were questioning a little bit the value.
Is it important as a milestone in the progress of technology? Is a phenomenal milestone. There is no doubt the OpenAI team did an excellent job in transforming this technology in actually usable programs and devices. Is it all that people believe it is? Well, sometimes you have to think about this fact. We need to understand this concept of a language model. What is a language model? This is a technical term in the world of AI and natural language processing, but it goes essentially this way. Imagine you're thrown in a foreign land in which you don't understand anything they say. Then little by little, you start understanding that a certain word is uttered and then another one is uttered. And so little by little, you're recognizing patterns and you are able to kind of reproduce these patterns because you know that after this word, most likely you'll say this word, but hey, if there is light, you'll say this other word. And so that's what a language model essentially does. It looks at large amounts of text and it looks at how the words appear one after the other and then learns how to repeat them one after the other in a way that makes sense. Right. This is what ChatGPT is. And the problem is that you cannot trust it to say anything that is true or false. So is it marvelous? It is marvelous. I love it. And I think it will unleash applications that we're not even thinking about. Is it a replacement for human intelligence? Not by a long stretch. And in fact, this is why we are investing tremendous amounts of R&D right now to make sure that we can build, at least in the world of biomedicine, equivalent models like ChatGPT, but that are linked and tied to facts so that these models can now stop hallucinating, which, believe it or not, is a technical term as well, but producing statements that are grounded in what is known and what is established.
That's a great way to put it on, and I think you've really put it into great context for me. And I've been spending a lot of time thinking about it and playing with ChatGPT and TextGPT. As I mentioned, I've got a friend who is differently abled. He's quite bright, but he's not great at forming sentences. I took a text that he wrote me, which was a little bit jumbled, and I asked ChatGPT or TextGPT to line edit it for me, and it totally created a legitimate sentence out of what was really a jumble. And I was really impressed. I thought that was a great use of the technology.
There are phenomenal uses. I think we will see in the next 2 or 3 years science fiction happening in front of our eyes. Absolutely.
So what's next for Epistemic? When are we going to see your products influencing health outcomes?
Well, our products are already, thankfully, they're already influencing a lot of the research that is happening in some of the largest clinical research institutions in the United States, including places like Cincinnati Children's and Cold Spring Harbor Lab and many others. We're working already with larger pharma companies and smaller pharma companies, as well as the companies that implement research programs from them. They're called CROs, contract research organizations. And the beauty of all this, Peter, is that we're transforming a little bit the model by which technology is servicing the pharma world and the biotech world, in that instead of partnering with 1 or 2 or 3 companies at a time for multi-million-dollar programs, We're instead selling a software as a service, a little bit like ChatGPT, a little bit like Google, and making it democratically accessible to large and small companies, to rich researchers and researchers that have less availability, institutions that are very well endowed, and institutions in countries that don't have the kind of purchasing power. And we believe that ultimately this is the key for accelerating competition and progress globally.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's a great way to end this conversation. I really appreciate it. I'd like to have you back as you make progress in your field, and always enjoy talking with you, Stefano. So thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you for having me, Peter. Take care.